obviously dealing with certain things that I had to do and see and participate in.
It's a struggle balancing the career, especially when 90% of me just wants to be a mom, you know?
Are you kidding? Are you joking?
I told her, I'm like,
was this a joke? Are you going ha ha ha?
She had, like, taken
it broke me. 100% broke me. But thankfully, I got arrested and ended up going to jail. And that's what saved my life.
If you went to Monroe Woodbury Middle School, please, if you have the yearbook pictures, send them to me. Because I asked Arianna for them, and I think she's holding out. She's like, no, I don't have them.
My mom threw them away. I swear she threw them away. We don't have the yearbooks anymore.
How old are you? Because I'm starting off very rude.
I'm 39.
Yeah. Ooh. You got a big one coming
I'll be 40
up.
this year.
When's your birthday?
August.
Oh, man. How you feeling? How's our mental state?
Fine.
Yeah.
I'm already old. It doesn't matter.
I was fine. And I know we're not really like old, but when I was about to turn 30, it was an adjustment for me. I didn't really want to talk about it because your 20s are behind you. Like it's like a milestone year. But then you turn 31, 32, 30, like it feels the same as being 30. But then in July, I turned 35, and then now it's like mid 30s.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I'm 35.
You're younger than me?
I am a year younger than you.
You're old.
Which is why I felt the need.
Wait, how were you in our grade?
I skipped one. But
it
was in elementary school. It doesn't count. Oh. It was like I came to America when I was like a little kid. Learned English really quick, and they're like, "Oh, you can go to that grade now." Gotcha. And so it wasn't
because I was already young.
Get out of here, move on.
Yeah, it was like get this kid out of here. Yeah,
I had missed the cutoff because I started school in Brooklyn. I lived in Brooklyn until 6th grade, and then we moved to Monroe beginning of 7th grade. So 7th grade was my first year in Monroe too.
Was it really? Okay.
Yeah.
So I started high school so freshman year of high school, when we all started high school, I was 12, which is not cool.
You didn't even have your license when we were seniors.
No. You all graduated at like 17, 18. I was 16.
How'd you get to school?
Yeah.
Did you take the bus?
Fucking bus. I told nobody, but yeah, I took the bus. Yeah. And now people are like, oh, that's awesome. Back then it was not awesome to be a freshman at 12 years old.
Yeah.
It was
that's a lot. I tried graduating high school early, and whoever the principal was at the time, she didn't approve me to graduate early.
Dr. Mohammed?
Yeah. Yeah, she said no. I wasn't ready for college, apparently. Even though my grades were there, she wouldn't approve it.
Dr. Mohammed. I wonder what happened to her. Dr. Mohammed. Well, that's how we met. How'd you guys meet?
Bumble.
Yeah.
What's Bumble?
Online.
Dating app.
Yeah, one of those stupid
dating
dating apps.
One of the originals? All right, tell me that story.
The originals. He was the one and only person I talked to on there.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had just gotten out of
I'm just that good
for you.
I was living in Nashville for a little bit. I was in a relationship out there. It was just awful. So I had moved back home. Yeah, living out there. Yeah,
very big. Okay.
I met two of my very best friends out there, so I'm convinced that was the purpose of me moving there, was to meet them. But I moved home, and I was just kind of like sulking on the couch. Didn't want to go out. I was just in a mood, and my sister had just kept telling me to get on the apps and try it. And I had been in one relationship after the next before that, so I had never done the online dating thing because it didn't exist until then. Really, it wasn't a thing. So I was like, I'm going to meet some crazy person. I'm not going on there. And
I think it was Match and like Farmers Meet were our options.
Yes.
There was a couple.
Yeah, that's the Christian one.
I think there was the Christian Mingle one.
LikePeopleMeet.com, which you guys would not have fit.
No, that one we didn't go on.
No, I think I got disqualified from that one right away.
I did the farmer one though.
You uploaded your picture there.
My sister told me to do the farmers one. I made a farmers one.
No.
Immediately deleted it. The people on there were bizarre, so I got rid of that one real quick. But I did Bumble because she was like, just do it. And I was like, oh my God, I'll get you off my back, whatever. So I made it, and him and I matched. I don't even remember how it worked. We matched, and he had sent me like what was it even called?
An extension.
Yeah, like he had originally...
Gives you an option to extend for like another... Because you get... I don't remember. It was like 24 or 48 hours.
To respond, and then it goes away.
But the woman has to. So that's the way that Bumble worked, is
okay.
that only the girl could initiate the conversation. So you would both know that you matched, but I couldn't do anything unless
Until
Unless
she
I-
unless
reached
unless
out.
the
Okay.
So
yeah,
we
unless,
matched,
unless
and
the
I was
girl
looking
did.
at
So it's
his
like
pictures.
creep proofing it.
Basically,
Okay.
Yeah, so we matched, and I was looking at his pictures, and I, like, very much have a type, and he had his military uniform on, and he was doing his Spartan
I knew what I
races,
was
and I'm
doing.
like,
Sorry.
oh, he's really good looking, but then I, like, was sitting there talking to my sister, and I'm like, no, it's too good to be true, I'm not even gonna bother, like, he just seems
Yeah.
like he's probably gonna want one thing and one thing only, and
Yeah.
and that's gonna be it, so I didn't even bother, and then, and then he sent the extension to me, and she was like, well, you just accept it, and I was like, all right, fine, so I did, and we started chatting, and we went out, like, I don't know, a week or so later, I think.
something like that.
Yeah.
Probably in a fairly close.
Yeah, we talked for a while, and our first date was we went on a hike up to the waterfalls.
Yeah, after I
in
showed up to
Windsor.
pick her up with her entire family
He
outside
met my
waiting
whole
for me.
family the first day. He
Dude,
picked
was
me
that,
up.
did you plan that?
No, I did. I was living.
No,
at
but I
home
should
at
have
the time.
known
I
better
didn't-
because her entire family is everywhere
Italian.
now. So
Yeah,
it's
a bunch
just
of Italians.
that was
They all
I was
just
still-
walked
I
that
had
was
out.
the
just
start of
moved
it, and that was it.
I had just moved home, so I was still living at home until I like figured out where my life was going. So he insisted on picking me up. Normally, I would like very much drive myself because I like
Do
having
the
an
right
out
thing.
if I want.
I'm a gentleman.
Very gentlemanly, sure.
So he pulled
Sometimes.
up, and my dad was working on the garage. My mom was outside. My sister was outside.
I've never seen more of a case of foreshadowing. Because
yeah.
we were just saying off camera, like, so now your in-laws live next door.
Yep.
There was a time when
Right
her
next door.
sister was living on the other side. So it's
She
literally
did
my
until
big fat
about
Greek
what, a
family
month
just-
ago.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
month
she
or
lived
two
next
ago,
door until
yeah.
about a month ago.
So yeah, he met the whole family the first
Yep.
day.
Just
And
get it over
then-
with.
Just yeah.
Yeah, and then we went hiking, and I shared my location with like 5 friends because I'm like, I'm in the woods if I disappear.
This is the guy.
Because I mean, you know the woods up near where we're from. There's a
Yeah.
lot of them, so
Yeah.
yeah, I shared my location, but it
Wow.
ended up being good, and we kept the day going the whole day. We went out to dinner after, and
When was this? How long ago was this now?
2017, I think.
Okay.
I don't remember. I've been with you forever.
I think it was 2017. Yeah,
It's just,
yeah.
I've been with you forever. I have no idea.
Feels like
When
forever.
did you guys get married?
2020, the middle of the
2020.
pandemic.
No
Yeah.
way.
August of 2020.
So what was that like? Because I imagine you guys were planning the wedding pre-pandemic. And
We
then-
were.
Uh,
Not for long, no. We got engaged December
December.
of 2019, and then the pandemic started, March of 2020? So it was
Yeah,
like,
so
I booked the venue. We got real excited about it, and then like 3 months later, the world shut down, and it was
that.
literally like touch and go with the venue the whole time because they
Really?
were like, we don't know if we can have a gathering. 'Cause
yeah,
we got married in
it was going to be
Jersey, so-
questionable the entire time.
I think we
Really?
found out 2 weeks before the wedding that we could actually have it, so it was
Oh, wow.
stressful.
Fairly close, yeah.
Yeah, about that. And we had to like pare down. I mean, we didn't invite a ton of people to begin with, but we happened to fall.
No.
I think we could only have 100 or something, and we ended up like 94 or something like that. Somewhere between
somewhere
90 and 100.
Close
but
enough.
we were lucky we didn't have to pare down our list. But if we had more, we would have had to cut some people.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm pretty sure we still could have cut people.
Yeah, I say that. I say that too.
Yeah.
There.
yeah.
yeah.
There's plenty that I don't talk
You
to
should've-
anymore.
you should've
There's
seen
some,
it.
unfortunately, I don't talk to anymore, and then there's
Yeah. There's others
You
that
know.
really.
Just life.
Didn't
kinda
need to
gets
be
in
there,
the-
yeah.
Yeah.
I could have cut out my entire family.
Yeah, you should have seen my original wedding list. We were like, yeah, we're gonna keep it small, intimate. It's like there are 180 names on this list, and there don't need
That's-
to be.
That's a
100.
lot.
Way too much.
And our wedding was overseas. Our wedding was in the Dominican Republic. So.
Oh yeah, that's rough.
But I kind of did that because I was like, maybe it'll discourage some people from going because they'll have to travel.
It
No.
didn't.
No,
No, I was like, oh, nice. Like,
Vacation.
it did not.
unfortunately, you
Yeah,
don't have
no.
that kind of family.
No, man. So you were in the military.
I was.
What? Let me guess. I want to say Marine.
No.
Army?
Nope. You got 2 left.
Well, I'm not gonna say Air Force.
Why not?
I don't know, dude. Like, you seem a little bit more rugged. But was it Air Force?
It was Air Force.
Okay, so all right, so Air Force. Well,
But I am rugged, yes.
No. I mean, my mother-in-law was in the Air Force, and I considered joining the Air Force after dental school.
Yeah.
But what prompted that decision for you to go into the Air Force?
I wanted to join the military when I was in high school,
Yeah. Okay.
and then I didn't. Unfortunately, I listened to my mother, which is weird because then eventually she told me to go,
Yeah.
but she got talked into it because one of the doctors that she works with was a full-blown colonel in the Air Force. So he kind of convinced her and inevitably helped me get into the Air Force.
Okay. So after you knew in high school, like, I want to go into the service.
Yeah, I wanted
you
to
didn't
leave.
Go right,
I wanted to leave.
Okay. You just wanted to get.
I wanted out.
Where's your
I
hometown?
absolutely wanted out. I wanted to leave. I wanted to
leave the hometown behind.
dip everything behind and just go.
Where is home?
Vernon, New Jersey.
Vernon, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Mountain Creek.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
Not far from you guys.
Okay. Nah, not too
That's
far.
right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So what did you do right after high school then?
Tried college.
Yeah.
Didn't work.
No.
No. I hate school.
Yeah.
I hate school. I don't mind doing like the stuff when it's like of interest.
Sure.
And I don't mind putting effort into learning stuff. That's what I'm going
What you
to
want
do.
to do, yeah.
I just couldn't deal with the nonsense of having to redo everything I just did 13 years of through,
Yeah,
you know, from kindergarten through high school.
Yeah.
Now I got to pay for this crap again, and
Yeah.
you know.
I say that too, where I tell people like I hate studying, but I like learning. I feel like they're different things, right? You're studying, you're just trying to memorize
two different
some
things,
bullshit,
and it's just one of those things that like I don't like going home and have it like especially through high school and all that stuff, and then college. It's like I'm here, now I'm paying to be here,
yeah.
and then I still have to go home and keep doing more stuff because you're just throwing nonsense into it. So,
how long did that last? That experiment?
a year
Okay.
between
So about 2-3 semesters in your
two different schools.
Yeah. So then
I went to community
that-
college. I stopped that. I went to Lincoln Tech for electrical.
Okay.
Got part of the way through that. That wasn't too bad, but it just wasn't. It was throwing money down the drain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably not if I would have lasted through it, but you know, they made all sorts of promises that like they help you find a job afterwards and so on and so forth, and then it just became, if you weren't like number 1 or number 2, then you're not getting anything kind of stuff, and I just didn't want to put more money into it.
So from that's when you made the decision
Yeah.
to go
And
into the Air Force.
Then I ended up joining the Air Force and leaving.
So all right. So walk me through that one. What was the transition like from civilian life to the Air Force? I've only ever
Into
read
the
about-
military?
Yeah, so now you're in the military.
I mean, I think because I was slightly older, obviously not old at all,
Yeah.
but like not just fresh out of high school. Boot camp and that stuff was like a tiny little bit easier
Yeah.
because I kind of got introduced to the real world for a brief period of time.
So there was more maturity there.
Yeah, I mean,
We're still working on that.
Yeah, that's one day I'll get there. Maybe by the time I'm 50. I think I had more people giving me knowledge that allowed me to just accept, and then also, I think a lot with my childhood helped me get through boot camp. I was used to being yelled at.
Oh, okay. So it was
Yeah. So
that part
I was just like,
nothing
oh, I don't care.
Did the yelling come from mom, dad?
Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dads are hard, man.
They can be.
Dads
So
can be
I try
difficult.
not to be.
Yeah, dads can be.
I try not to be now, but no, boot camp was an awakening, definitely.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's so much going on that it's hard to focus because it's just like it's just nonstop, and then by the time nighttime comes, you pass out
And then do it all
from
over
sheer
again.
exhaustion, and then you just wake up and you're lined up ready to go again, and you just hurry up and wait, and you just rush everywhere to.
You know what's interesting to me? There is a lot of people that don't like school or college specifically or anything like that. It's the structure, right, that they don't like. Like, I don't want to sit in a classroom. I don't want to feel like I'm studying and just memorizing stuff that I won't use. Now in the military, it's nothing but structure.
100%.
So how'd you do with that?
I say I like structure.
Okay.
You can ask how I am now. I am
Very
100% structured.
regimented, disciplined.
Everything is absolutely obsessive compulsive, just perfectly in line.
Like the
there's a way to do
folding the
things.
sheets a
Yeah, there's a
certain
way.
yeah.
I don't fold the towels
Yeah.
because I don't fold them like the exact way that he wants them. So we've just come to an understanding that he folds the towels.
Mercedes and I sometimes have that.
I have a
understanding.
problem.
I'll look at the.
I know
and
I
I'm
have
like,
a problem, but I
one time I
allow
even
it to be
told
my
her.
problem.
Yeah.
So it's just what it is.
I can
but-
understand that.
And I know it's a thing.
I
he
can-
likes
yeah.
to look nice, so I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
You fold the towels.
I can-
So there's
I can
also-
understand that.
There's a weird thing about it, and only people with the same issue are going to understand. There's a thing about certain things that are fully under my control. So like something stupid like the towels or the sheets or things being organized, especially when I go home without her and our daughter. But there's a thing to the organization that creates some form of ease in a world and where I work with just chaos.
For sure.
So knowing that something is the way that it's supposed to be,
Makes you feel better. I understand.
and
that.
I'm in full control,
I understand that.
allows like a little bit of
There has
relaxation
to be
there.
some challenge with that when you have a toddler. Take for example our playroom at home.
Yeah.
Right? Our playroom at home used to be a loft. Beautiful, like so nicely organized. Now it's a playroom, and it's a freaking mess.
whole house is a playroom.
And Mercedes and I, we've tried to like organize it throughout the day. There's no point because 10 minutes later it's an absolute mess
Of
again.
course.
And it every day I look at it, it kind of gives me some anxiety to see it, right? Like I like my things to be very organized as well. So every time I look at that damn playroom, like my thought is we should just put like a metal door here and like block it off so they
Don't let
can't
her-
get
don't
in
let her go
ever.
in there and
You know what I
play.
mean? So you bring a toddler into the world and there's some things that you just can't control.
I can't control anything.
Yeah, how's that going? How's that going?
I'm used to it.
Yeah.
I can't control anything. It's literally her identical clone.
You
So
married me.
I know, and I love you very much.
When you graduate boot camp, what happens next? Where do they send you?
Tech school.
Okay.
So you go and learn whatever it is that your job is supposed to be.
Okay.
So
Where was that? Was that here stateside or?
yeah, stateside.
Yeah.
So boot camp was San Antonio, Texas.
Okay.
Then I was up in Wichita Falls, Texas for tech school for a majority of the time. The last leg of it, just because of my plane and the specifics, I was a crew chief. So I was an aircraft mechanic on the C-5 Galaxies.
Okay.
But because of so the beginning part of tech school was basics. They kind of treat everybody like you don't know your ass from your elbow. So this is a screwdriver. This is, they go through that very brief thing of like, they can't assume that everybody
everyone
knows
knows.
something.
Sure.
So the way they work
Start
it,
from
which
scratch.
is probably the reason why I train people the way I do at work and stuff today, is I act as if you're the dumbest person in the world and teach you from scratch, because
No
I
assumptions.
can't assume that you know something that not necessarily that you should know just because I do.
Right.
But then the last portion of my tech school was at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware. That was for like 3.5 months. I think I was there just finishing up tech school. And then I
Then
shipped back up and went back to my main base at Stewart Air Force Base, which was right outside where you guys live.
Newark, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. What would you say was the biggest challenge that you faced in the military, and then after you left, when you made the decision to leave, what was the biggest challenge you faced then?
Obviously dealing with certain things that I had to do and see and participate in. A lot of the stuff in the time frames were, not, I don't want to say it was hard. It was hard after, because when you're in it, it kind of just
It's your job.
you don't get time to think.
Yeah.
You just get time to act, and then later on you get to reflect, and that's where, the shit hits the fan, and that's where it gets to you. But that's probably the hardest part about being in the military, is just, especially depending on what your job is and things of that nature.
Yeah.
On a normal basis, my job was just fixing planes.
Yeah.
I traveled the world. That was great. Got to see places that I'll never see. got to see some places I probably never would want to see
See
again.
again,
But
yeah.
you know, there's that, and then I had volunteered, and I went over, and served, you know, some time overseas
Some of
and
those
stuff
more
like that.
difficult decisions, active combat zones.
Yeah.
I assume, and you probably see things that are very hard to forget.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's. I mean, I'm thankfully removed enough now that it's not too prevalent,
Yeah.
you know, in my daily life or things of that nature. But every once in a while, certain things pop back up. But I've done a lot of work on myself to be able to handle it,
Yeah.
you know. And it's been 13 years, 14 years, 15, 2011. What is it now? 25. So what is that?
Yeah.
10,
I-
11,
I'm
12,
math
14
challenged,
years.
yeah.
14 years
14
since
years,
I've been out. So,
Yeah.
you know, I've had some time, but getting out was, it's rough when you get back into civilian life because people don't do things the way they're supposed to do things. I still struggle with it.
Yeah.
People don't follow, like, you know, people don't do their jobs to do their jobs, and it's like either do it or don't do it,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. So that's still a struggle with me today. It's a struggle at the job I work at now is just not everybody works the same way. I think that's the hardest part is like you get regimented,
Mm-hmm.
and then everything is like, you know, you
You're
rely
back
on
into the
people
chaos.
that knowing that you do your job, I do my job, and that's just the end of it.
Yeah.
So I think that's the hardest part about.
In the military, you're in a unit, and that unit moves as one. You're all working towards that same.
Our unit moves
the
as
same
one,
goal.
every other unit moves as one, and then collectively the whole entire military moves as one. Everybody has their part to play,
Yeah.
you know, and people you just do it.
Yeah. Now you get out, and here's Gary in HR, and he doesn't
Yeah,
have
people just-
he doesn't have the paperwork ready, and it's been due for a week.
The amount of idiotry that I deal with at work on a daily basis is a part of it is probably my own fault.
No.
Definitely my own fault because obviously I expect things because I work a certain way,
No.
but I deal with a lot of children. So
When,
sad thing is
it's
they're not
but it's
children,
good
but
training
they're
for
children.
good training for your page.
Yeah.
makes my daughter look like a
positive spin on it.
dream when I come home after dealing with it all day.
So when you left the military, you had to do a lot of work on yourself to move past some of the trauma that you had seen while in the service. That transition from now the military life to the civilian life, what was that transition like for you? How did it affect some of the choices you made and just your life in general?
It broke me.
Yeah.
100% broke me. So after I got out, I was doing normal work and things of that nature, and unfortunately I got deep into drugs and alcohol because my brain was messed up, and that was the way of dealing with it because it suppressed everything and allowed me to keep moving through life without having to think about anything from the past.
Yeah.
Anything. And that's even just like obviously my childhood had stuff to do with it as well. So it's a collective of things that, added up to be stuff, but inevitably it just fell down a dark asshole until I was able to
Dig you out.
I was forced to dig myself out.
Yeah.
Realistically.
How did that come about? Like at what point in your life, you're in this hole, and at what point in your life are you like, I can't continue this way?
I mean, for anybody that's ever done drugs, and I mean done drugs, like I had a problem.
Yeah.
Like I was, shooting up heroin, drinking, smoking, whatever. And then it becomes like that's normal. That's reality. There is nothing else. It was a while that I knew that it couldn't go on like this, but there was trying to get help is hard. And then there would have been only one other option, which would have been ending it.
Yeah.
Because then there's no help needed. It's just over.
Yeah.
But thankfully, and in a weird way, thankfully, I got arrested and ended up going to jail. And that's what saved my life. Because obviously, it got taken away from me.
Wow.
So, everything happened for a reason. Higher power, whatever you want it to be. It worked out because the other result would have been that I would have ended my life.
You know, being in the health professions, we get a lot of training on addiction and, you know, recognizing the signs and the symptoms. And I've always been of the belief that addiction, although it's treated as a crime, it really shouldn't be. It should be treated as a health issue, not as a
100%.
not as a crime. And I've never done drugs, but a year or two ago, I had the worst pain in my neck, like ever, like a grown man in tears. It was the spasm that would just like shoot up to my brain. I felt like I was like having an aneurysm. It was horrible. Went to the hospital, and they gave me morphine and a whole bunch of other stuff, like IV morphine. Like I was out, and
Of course,
I
that's
just
the instant thing is
yeah,
just load you up with
load me up.
drugs.
And I remember just kind of laying there, like in the hospital bed, feeling like kind of empty, like, oh, I have no problems. I don't have to think about anything. I don't have to worry about anything. I feel nothing. And that was after just a couple hours of, you know,
It depletes your soul.
It's completely. And when you come out of that, I can understand why people fall into that. In a world where there's so much ugliness sometimes and so much darkness and so many problems, I can understand why that is the escape route.
Well, in the beginning, it's euphoric.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it's 100% euphoric. And then eventually it's, I mean, for most people, any kind of opiate, especially heroin, will eat your soul in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Takes no time at all.
Wow.
No time at all.
Yeah.
But that beginning little portion is freaking amazing because you're just high.
Yeah.
You're in euphoria and you feel freaking great and you're numb to everything. So of course it's great.
Yeah.
Especially if you're, you know, having any kind of internal or external conflict and all of a sudden it just goes and your mind clears and you don't have all this crap running around in your head. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. When Arianna, when you met Jared, were you sober?
Yeah, I
by
was
then?
already
And-
sober
Yeah,
when
he
we
was
met.
very sober.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't Google him. Normally, I'm like, I meet someone and I'm nosy and I'm, down a
that is
rabbit hole
so
online
impressive.
trying to find everything. I found his Facebook, his Instagram, because his Bumble picture had his last name because he had his uniform on, so it said Jester. So I found him online, but
I'm so
I
impressed
that was
that she
bad
did
move.
not Google
But
you.
I
That's
just
incredible.
looked in the apps. Like I just went to Facebook, I just went to Instagram. I never actually Googled him. And I think had I, because his record came up when you Google him, I think had I Googled him, I probably wouldn't have gone out with him.
So that's just a touch of fate there.
Yeah.
It's the universe working in the
for
way that it
sure.
does.
For sure. How long into the relationship did you confide in her some of your past?
He told me
I
pretty.
think I was pretty honest from the start.
Yeah.
Yeah, we both were pretty honest about just who we were and what we wanted, and
I was a
where it came
couple
from.
years sober.
Yeah, you were at that point. I think you were 2 or 3 years at that point.
Couple years sober by the time I met her. So
Yeah.
she's not the first person that I was, met and was trying to date and done things. So it was,
Yeah.
And I think like
I done enough work on myself, thankfully, that I was honest.
Yeah.
Because the time frames that little bit of time frame that we did meet, I was actually trying to meet somebody,
Yeah.
not just mess around and you know what I mean, do
That's
stupid crap. So
that's a lot of courage.
I was
on-
actually honest because it wasn't worth it to not be.
to not be, because you were trying to build something long term
Yeah.
by then. Yeah.
Well, plus it was a huge that was a huge part of my life was my sobriety and doing meetings and things of that nature and helping other people and all that kind of stuff. That if I wasn't honest, it wouldn't have worked out anyway because the only reason I was doing any of this and would have been able to meet her and have a relationship if it was going to be the fact is she would have had to be a part of it, because that's the only reason that I have anything that I do now.
Yeah, that takes a lot of courage, I would say, on both of your ends. On your end, to you just met this person. Here I am. This is what I've been through. This is what I'm working on. And on your end, you mentioned earlier that you had gone through a rough breakup, and that you weren't really sure, and so now you learn this. And I think it would be very normal to be scared or doubtful or hesitant.
So I think because I have very good intuition, and I didn't get like a bad feeling about him. And then I think once he kind of like explained his whole story, he wasn't just a druggie shooting up. Like there were reasons behind it, and he did a lot of work to make himself a good man, and it kind of worked out. But there were a lot that, like, I think I sat in your car and he had smoked cigarettes. He stopped smoking before we dated, but I sat in the car and I smelled it. And cigarettes are like,
nope.
That would have stopped it for me.
Nope.
I hate smoking. I hate it. But I sat in the car, I'm like, do you smoke? And he was like, I don't. I'm like, I smell it in here. Do you smoke? And he's like, I really don't smoke. He's like, I did. I don't anymore. But honestly, if you had told me, yeah, I think I would have went on the date and probably not seen you again.
Wow.
Should have told you I smoked.
I hate it. And honestly, teeth too are usually a big thing for me. And his teeth were terrible when we met, but I looked past that too.
You look past a lot.
I did.
That's
Aren't you a good person, huh?
Well, so on that subject, one of the things that drugs can do, besides messing with your soul, is obviously they'll mess with your health.
100%.
And you reached out to me, it's got to be 2.5, 3 years ago now. And you told me, hey, I'd love for you to, if you can take a look at my husband. And you told me a little bit.
Yeah.
You told me, what you said, I think at the time, was he's been rebuilding his life, and unfortunately, he's had some oral health issues. Can you take a look? And I didn't really know what to expect beyond that. I was actually even surprised, that you lived here. Yeah. I don't think we had spoken since high school.
Not really, no. We were Facebook friends.
We were Facebook friends. And so I didn't really know what to expect. So, and I was kind of just surprised that you had reached out. But I was, yeah, absolutely. So I remember we made the appointment, we made the consultation for you. You came in, we did, the whole standard x-rays and everything.
Yep.
And in my mind, whenever I have the prospect of telling somebody all of these teeth have to go, I get nervous, because I don't know. I know how I see my teeth, right? Like, if you told me I have to get rid of one tooth, it would be like a funeral. I'd be like, oh my God. So the idea of telling somebody like all of them gotta go, it's stressful for me. But for you, I asked you, I remember I asked you, what is your goal here? What are we looking to achieve? And you were just super cool, super calm. And I kind of floated to you like, would you be willing to have all of these removed and everything reconstructed? And you were like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
I'm pretty sure I remember just being like, just take them all out. Just
get
rid of them.
You did, which made my life so much easier, because I was like, oh, I don't have to say it.
No panic attack needed.
No panic attack needed. Just take them out. Let's go. Move them on. Let's start over.
And even so, because I think one of the options that I had given you was like, we could try and fix this and try and do that and try. Yeah. And you were like, let's just get them all out of there.
See you later.
But I was hesitant because you're young, and it's one thing if it's like, dude, you're 75, you probably got 10, 15 years left. Sure, whatever, we'll take them all out.
Yeah.
But you've got a whole lifetime ahead of you, so the pressure then is on, where it's like, we have to nail this. Like, we have to, everything has to be perfect. Added stress. Hey, this guy's wife is one of my friends from like 25 years ago now. So yeah, no pressure at all.
No, not at all.
But we planned, we did some pretty extensive surgery.
Yeah, it was delightful.
It was delightful.
It was delightful.
I think we were in there for like 6 hours. And the
was
whole
some
time,
time
because
frame.
Ariana, you came with
I
him
did
to
come.
the surgery.
I got to read a book that day. That was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah,
So I'm glad it was
I'm
nice.
so glad you
I'm
had
glad
a
it was
good
nice.
time.
Yeah.
It was
I'm
nice.
I am happy
we
for
had a
you.
newborn at home at the time. I got a day. I read a book.
I'm glad I could assist you.
Yeah,
You are
it
so
was lovely.
welcome.
Thank you.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
Listen.
But look at that smile now.
Uh-huh.
So we removed everything up top, and I placed like 6 or 7 implants in there, and
Yeah.
you know, restored the whole thing. And it was probably one of the most nerve-wracking surgeries I've done, honestly, for probably 3 reasons. One, your lovely wife she's the whole time in the back of my head, I'm like,
I know who she is.
Ariana's in the reception area. Ariana's in the reception area. You know,
I
so
think we came and hung out there for a little while.
yeah, you know, and I think there was one time you're like, how's everything going? And I was like, please leave. Because about halfway through the surgery, as always happens, there's a complication.
Of course.
And one of the teeth, when I removed them, a whole thing of bone came out with the tooth. So it's like, well, that was where that implant was going to go. So now you got to reconstruct that area because that implant has no stability. You remember that one, the wiggly one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's good now.
It's good now. So it's good. My skills we're good. But that was one complication that added maybe like an hour and a half to 2 hours to the surgical time. The other reason I was nervous is, like I said, Ariana's waiting on us. And 3, I knew the story by then, right? I knew that you were rebuilding your life.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure that I did the best job possible for you. The last thing that I wanted was, let me add another layer of fuck up. You know, let me add another layer of complication to this man's life after everything he's been through. So start to finish with what we did, it took about a year, I would say.
Yeah. It was a year.
And
between different
and even
partial,
while you were healing, while you were in your temporaries, there, you know,
whenever that one spot took forever.
That took forever
to heal. But
when Ariana would post pictures of you guys while you were in your temporaries, like on Instagram, I would be like, "Hey, can you send me that picture? There's something that I'm noticing here that
I remember you telling me. She's like, Hector wants to look at your teeth again. He saw the picture and is questioning something. I was like, okay.
Yeah. So it was a lot of that, and I would just like stare at the pictures, like zoom in, and Mercedes would
You were
like,
more of a perfectionist about it than I was. I was just happy to not have crappy ass teeth. Well,
I would
crappy ass tooth in my mouth.
And even when we like, these are your finals now, and even when we put those in, I was just like, you know, and like seriously, like zooming in on your pictures, and Mercedes would walk by and be like, "What the fuck?" like walk away.
Over this guy's teeth.
So now you guys are parents. Your daughter Paige is going to be 3.
Yeah.
When she turns 3? March 2nd. And we are happy to report that she is a clone of her mother. Same
yeah, so happy to report
everything. Yeah, in more than one way.
In every way.
In every
way.
She got all of me.
There's a little bit of me.
Little bits
sometimes.
of you. Sometimes the little like her little frustration bursts
anger.
are definitely you. She got
anger.
his anger.
That's what she got from me.
How are the temper tantrums going?
They're rough. They're slightly better. We went through a real rough patch, and I think a lot of it also had to do with me. But there was a moment in time there where it was just angry and hitting and kicking and scratching, and she was never a biter, so I guess that's good. But because I have a couple of friends whose kids are biters. It happens.
Yeah, it does.
But she was never a biter, so that's
like training a dog. You gotta stop
but,
teaching not to bite. That's it.
It was bad, the screeching. And now I know a few things that are definitely going to set her off, like, you know, getting her in the bath, and then getting her out of the bath. But
can't get her in, then you can't get her out.
Does she still look at you guys mid-temper tantrum, stop crying, look you right in the eyes and say, "I'm crying," and then go back to crying?
Yeah, sometimes she does.
Nice.
Sometimes.
She likes to let us know
what
she's doing.
Like, do you see me?
You know I'm here, right?
You see me here crying.
No, the other day she was like,
I'm going to continue now.
She was mad at me for I don't even know what she was mad at me for. Something. She was being mean to the dog or something, and I told her to stop, and that just ruined her world. So she like turned around and she went to go kick the wall, and she's like, "I'm frustrated. I'm going to kick the wall." And I was like, okay.
It's, you know what I find incredible, because it sounds like Paige is the same as Cruz and Penelope's growing into this. They're so good at communicating, but also like their take on communication is very different. Like Cruz is very good at telling me like, I'm frustrated, I'm upset, but then he'll also say things like, I told you 3 times I wanted ice cream and you didn't listen to me. You have to listen. I'm like, that's not how.
Yeah,
How it works. Like, I appreciate your opinion, but that's not how it works.
You are not listening to me.
Just
is what's
because
happening.
I told you 3 times and you didn't listen, it
Exactly.
doesn't work both ways here.
So that toddler stage is very difficult.
It's rough.
How have you guys managed it? There's, is gentle parenting a thing in
We're
your?
not gentle parents,
No.
no.
Well, what is your take
Do
on
I
gentle
look
parenting?
gentle?
No, you don't.
Do I?
Not gentle parents.
So
I'm very much. My mom.
We don't beat her, obviously,
No,
but
no,
like I'm
but
not.
I
I
just-
can't. I don't have patience for that
I
gentle
grew
crap.
up in. Yeah, and I grew up in a very like, no is no
Yeah.
kind of house.
Yeah.
So. No
We
is
had
no.
different childhoods.
No is a full sentence, and that's it. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how. And I mean, my mom's raising her half the time anyway because she watches her all day while I'm working. So
Yeah.
I kind of she's being parented the way I was parented, and it
I'm
works most-
gentler.
He's gentler. I mean, I'm
Well, then
I'm
my
like,
parents.
Let's calm down. Let's
I
talk
meant like
about why you're-
I don't parent the same way my parents parented me.
I'm just very no nonsense because this is gonna sound bad. I just don't have the time. I'm working full time. Like it's just we just
It's
I said no.
difficult
We
with
got to do
balancing
what we gotta do, and
careers.
That's what we got to do. And
Yeah.
as much as I would love to sit there and be kumbaya about her feelings, I just
Yeah.
I take sometimes.
sometimes it depends
To,
on
like,
the
be-
situation.
I think, as a whole, in society, I think we've learned there's multiple ways,
Yeah.
and I think as you understand, you just make it up.
Yeah.
Like everything,
We're just
I've
winging it.
I've read tons of stuff. It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
What works for you doesn't work for us. Your
Absolutely.
child is not my child. Is not their child. Is not their child. It's you. My friends' children. They do what
What works for them.
they need to do. I take in outside sources, so sometimes, I use some of the gentle parenting techniques, but it's in a situation I feel that can use it.
For sure. Yeah.
And then there's other times where it's just like,
This is what it is.
yeah.
She's
Yeah.
also,
I
it
gotta
helps
keep
a
my
lot.
hands in my pocket because I'm like, you mouthy little
Sometimes I want
thing.
to.
I'm just like,
The
oh,
intrusive thoughts are like, oh my
Your
God.
intrusive thoughts are crazy.
So
Yes.
crazy.
God,
but
when you talk back to me
she-
just like I would to your mother. Ah,
Yeah.
bam.
I mean, we're very fortunate too with her. She is very verbal, so she's very good at
Too verbal.
speaking what's on her mind. So we usually always know what's going on up there. But it just depends on the situation how we diffuse it. Sometimes I'm like, all right, let's. It's really not that big of a deal. Like, let's sit down and take a breather. And other times I'm like, just put the jacket on. We have to go.
Yeah.
Like it's just.
I think Mercedes and I are similar to you guys. Like we parent very differently than our parents did. I definitely parent very differently than my father did. My father was not in the military. Might as well have been. I don't want to parent the way that he did. Because all I felt really when I was growing up in that sense was a lot of resentment. When I tell Cruz no, I do make an effort to explain to him why I'm saying no. But there are times where it's just like, I know that you're screaming for no reason at all right now. The fact that I've picked out this sweater for you and you don't want to wear it, and now we're late for school. Like I cannot entertain a 25-minute conversation right now about your feelings because when I pick you up later anyway, the teacher's going to tell me that you didn't want to take the sweater off.
Yeah.
So let's go.
Yeah.
But there are, we do try to validate his feelings and understand why he's feeling, a certain way. I think gentle parenting is like such a spectrum, right? Because there are some people where it's just like they think that it just means you say yes to everything, and that's not how I interpret it at all. Then there are some people that sometimes they're gentle and sometimes they're not. It's like, what does the situation call for?
Yeah, you gotta balance it.
It's a balance.
Yeah.
I think there's obviously you can watch TikTok and all that stuff and see the memes and making fun of gentle parenting. You can also watch them making fun of the straight up like beating your children and abusing them in some form or fashion. But there's a common ground in between that I feel is what's been working best.
Yeah,
It's situational.
for sure.
It's honestly situational.
Like most things.
Yeah.
And you guys are both busy. I mean, we're all juggling careers here. You throw kids into the mix. I think we both have the blessing that like my mother lives right down the street. Your mom lives next door.
Literally,
That's
yeah.
that's a
Yep. Stone's
huge,
throw
huge
away.
blessing. But at the end of the day, we're still the parents,
Yeah.
right? How have you guys managed to balance, like, for example, now you work Monday through Friday, but before your schedule was some Saturdays, some Sundays, work late. How have you guys managed to balance that with your careers? You're a paralegal, that you're always working. I think you were working during Jared's surgery.
I was, yeah. I did bring my computer with me. I was, yeah. I mean, we didn't even stop during the pandemic. We didn't shut down because my company was considered essential. So, like, I'm always going. And when I'm at the computer, like, it's been our slow time of year recently, which has been kind of nice because I've been able to have her home with me more, like, during the day. So I'm able to spend more time with her. But when we're in our busy time, I mean, I'm glued to that computer for 8 hours. So it's tough. And there's a lot of mom guilt on my end, I think, because just want to be a mom, but I also don't want to lose that part of me that works either, nor can we afford to. But yeah, it's hard to balance every now and then, and then switching off at the end of the day is hard because I'm in like go, and I try not to push the go on her. It's taken a lot of work for me to learn not to do that at the end of the day. Now I'm finally starting to get better with it, but it's a struggle balancing the career, especially when 90% of me just wants to be a mom, Yeah. So.
The mom guilt, Mercedes struggles with that sometimes too. And, a lot of moms that I've spoken to, they want to be moms and fully present as a mom, but they don't want that to be the only part of their identity, and they want to contribute to the household and they want to work because they want their own thing as well. And I think for us as husbands, part of that is recognizing that and trying to do the best we can to be supportive in that sense, which also is not easy because I think sometimes I think we want to give advice, and I don't know that I don't know that you always want to hear the advice. You just want the support.
They never want to hear the advice.
So what do we do, Jared?
They
Tell
never
us.
want to hear the advice.
What do we do?
Eventually, they hear the advice
Eventually.
and realize
When we're ready.
we were right all along. But our fault. We both have our faults in it.
Yeah.
Them as women don't want to hear us. Us as men don't want to hear them ask us anything because it's your fault asking us. We're men. Our job is to fix, solve,
That's it.
and make better. That is our job. That is what we do as men. So when you give us something, it's very hard for us to just be like, I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, that was a rough thing. It's more, this is
empathy.
how you fix this. Well, you could do this. Why don't you try this? And you could do this. And then they're just
want
like,
the
"Ah."
empathy.
Sometimes I just want you to let me be crazy and we'll move on.
I understand, and I've done a lot of work,
Yes,
and I think
we've worked a lot on it.
we've
'Cause
gotten
had
to
a
the
lot
point. I think we've gotten to a decent point where I, sometimes I might have to ask, but I usually understand when I'm supposed to just shut up and go.
Yeah, I've done a lot of work. With
This
that
woman at work.
too.
I'm like, yeah, that bitch. Yeah, you're right, honey.
Yeah.
You're right.
I've done a lot of work with that too. There, and like you, on occasions, I'll have to literally. Do you want me to just listen, or
He
do
has
you want...
asked.
I've had to ask
He
because
has actually asked.
it's advice I've taken from somebody had said it a long time ago that I saw online. I was just like, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. What do you want?
Yeah, he
What do
has
you
actually
want out of
asked.
this conversation? Because I'm either going to just shut up and go,
But it's
or,
hard.
or
dude.
I'm going to give you my advice because
It's
just,
still so hard
yeah.
because they might feel a little bit better after we've just gone like, I'm here with you, I understand. But in my brain, I'm still going like, I have fixed nothing.
Yeah.
And I have like 3 different solutions for
Of
this thing
course.
right now.
Yeah.
But that's what it is it's just like, I don't know. It's what it's what I do at work too. It's everything I do is fixing problems.
Yeah.
So if you come to me and something's a problem, I want to figure out. I want to figure out how to fix it.
Yeah. During one of your checkup visits, you very quietly shared a secret with me, and I was super excited. You were super excited. You mentioned that you guys were expecting twins, and
Yes.
I think we joked about maybe getting like a Groupon for vasectomies or something.
Yep, we did.
Because Mercedes was pregnant at the time. And
Yeah.
I remember, you already had Paige, and so now twins, and I just like looked at you with terror.
Yeah.
It's
See
like,
if we could get a
dude,
buy one,
you
get
can't
one
do
free
man to
special.
man anymore. You gotta
Yeah.
like, how are you gonna...
went from one, it
Yeah.
was going to be instantly 3 in a
Under 18
heartbeat.
months,
So,
it
yeah.
would've been.
So when you guys first got that news that, hey, you're expecting, hey, it's twins. What was that reaction like for
Well,
each of you?
the first appointment we went to, they didn't see that it was twins. So
Oh,
I had
God.
had some,
Yes.
like some bleeding in the beginning. So we went in for like an early sonogram around 5.5 weeks or so, and they found like a really strong heartbeat, which I didn't find unusual at the time because we also went in early for Paige because I was having a lot of pain with her in the beginning, and they also found a really strong heartbeat at 5.5 weeks. So I was just like, maybe I've got like super kids, whatever, it's fine. So she looked at the sonogram. She's like, oh, it's, there's a heartbeat. Like, you're fine. It's just bleeding can be common in the first trimester for a lot of women. So we went home. I went back for my regular 8-week appointment, and he came with me to that one, and the sonogram tech's looking at the thing, and she's like, you guys didn't tell me it was twins. And we were like,
You didn't
what?
tell us.
It's like, excuse me?
I was like, nobody told us it was twins. And she's like, weren't you just here? And I was like, no one said it was twins. And
We both asked her, like,
I was
Are
like,
you
sure?
Are you new?
are you fucking kidding?
Like, how
I
long
was
have you
like-
been doing
I
this?
told her, I'm like,
Was this a joke? Are you going, ha ha ha?
she had like taken the ultrasound wand out already. I'm like, let's try again. I'm like, you can put it back. You just go back in and try again. And she's like, I'm looking at it right here. It's twins. But so it was very much like a shock. I'm pretty sure I like hit him.
It's your fault.
Oh my God.
Why would you do this?
Yeah, it's my fault. It's always my fault.
We were in shock. I mean, I wasn't like, twins run in my family, so I wasn't like completely shocked. I've got them on both sides of my
I
family.
blamed her.
Oh wow.
But
So it's
So
your
it's your
fault. What are you
fault.
talking
It's
about?
my
It's your
fault.
fault.
I mean, it is my fault. But
I have no twins in my family. This is all you.
Oh my god.
So I was like, we were in shock initially, and then they looked at the ultrasound further, and they told us it was a really high risk pregnancy because of the type of twin they were. They're called mono, and anything Google says about it is actually accurate. So they essentially shared one sac, one placenta, and there was no separation of them. So they were identical twin girls.
Oh my goodness.
And they told us they had, a 50-50 chance of survival? About that?
Maybe if that.
Yeah, if that. So we did our best. We came up with a plan. We went to a high-risk doctor. If I was able to carry them, I would have had to have gone to the hospital between 20 and 26 weeks and stayed there until delivery at 34. They wouldn't have let me out past 34 weeks, but
I remember you told me that.
yeah, we unfortunately lost them at 16.
When I know that a friend is expecting and then kind of some time passes and I don't see anything, I'm always very scared to ask because those kinds of things are actually more common than we realize. I think people don't realize how common miscarriages are.
I didn't until we
I've had 3.
had them,
Yeah.
and then
When Mercedes.
and my
first
friends have
became-
told me, like,
Yeah,
with their
it's-
baby,
it's-
they've had it. I'd found out from my mother that she had a couple in
they
between.
just-
Like, it was
doctors
just like,
just don't talk about it.
yeah, it's ridiculous that,
Yeah.
like, it's actually
extremely common.
It's very common, and they don't talk about it, and they don't prepare you for it.
it's at a point where I
No.
started thinking it's more uncommon to have the child.
Yeah.
Yeah, and from what I've read, most of them happen before the woman knows that she's pregnant. But there's a pretty good percentage that happen after 8 weeks. Even I think maybe even as high as 4% will happen after 15 weeks. So it is a very common thing. I think in total 20% of pregnancies end in miscarriage, and you don't know these things until now you're expecting or your spouse is expecting. And it's just so many things can go wrong.
So many things
And
that you never even.
you wouldn't even
Yeah.
think about it. So we caught up one day and I kind of asked how you guys are doing, and that's when you shared that news with me. And it's heartbreaking to hear it, and I can only imagine how you guys felt when it happened.
It was, because we had never even announced that pregnancy because it was so high risk. So we didn't tell anybody except just
Couple close.
a couple close friends.
Personal.
We didn't even really
little
tell,
bit of family.
yeah, just a few family members, and we kept it really, really quiet because it was really, really high risk. So it was rough. I mean, He wasn't at the appointment with me the day we found out. My mom had come with me that day, but I don't even think I've told you that the picture of them on the sonogram, like that final picture just not moving, is like seared into my brain. So it was a rough day.
And is that something that the technician is able to tell you, or
they're not
supposed
able to tell
but
you, but
they're not
I
going to
mean,
make you wait?
You've been to enough
it.
appointments with Mercedes where they're like,
Yeah.
oh, the heartbeat's here, and look at this one flipping over here, and they're usually like a lot more cheerful and talky, and she was like really quiet and like looking around with the sonogram, and I was just like,
you sense.
I was like, there's no heartbeat, is there? And she was like, I'm just gonna have like, we're gonna call the doctor, and like, no worries. And I was like, I can see them not moving, because like the few sonograms, because we were high risk, so we were there every 2 weeks, I think, getting a sonogram, something like that. So we had seen them on every sonogram, and they were like literally flipping over each other, like on the machine, like we can see them. We heard the heartbeat, so like I knew they were active in there. And then for her to like do it, I'm looking at the screen, and I'm like, I've been to enough appointments, especially like I had Paige, so like we were looking at sonograms all the time, and they weren't moving, and so I just knew. And I think I had kind of known in my gut like 2 days before that, because I was rocking Paige to sleep, and I just for some reason just got this like piercing feeling in my heart that something was wrong when I was rocking her to sleep, and I just sort of knew. So I wasn't like,
was it a complete
surprised.
shock?
I wasn't completely shocked. No, I think I knew inside that they were gone, but yeah, it was hard.
When you go home from that appointment, and you're heartbroken and you're devastated, and you walk through the door, and you still have your baby there that still demands all your attention, I can imagine that Paige can provide a lot of relief, maybe is the word, to kind of get you through. But then there's also the challenge of you have to heal physically, your body, but also just spiritually. And you still have this little child here that depends on you for everything. So what role did Paige play in this for you guys? I
mean, she was definitely a good distraction. So much so that I sort of skipped over the healing part for myself, because I just kind of buried it all under the rug. Because it wasn't even like, I mean, they made us wait almost 7 days before I could even have the surgery to remove the twins. So sitting with that, knowing that was really, really hard. That was the first time I ever saw him get mad about it, really, because the hospital was making us just wait to schedule an appointment. So it was rough. That was really rough. But then after that, I just put myself on autopilot and kind of skimmed over it. And then we had gotten pregnant again not long after that, and we lost that one. And then we took a little bit of a break, but we got pregnant again earlier this year and lost a third.
Wow.
So it's been a rough couple of years for us. And I'm finally listening to him and getting help, because there was a long time where I just thought I could handle it myself, and I very much could not, because it's bigger than me. So
Absolutely.
But it was affecting a lot. It was affecting the way I parent Paige, and the way, our marriage, and just everyone around me. So he was telling me to get help. I didn't want to hear it. And then one day I just snapped at Paige in a way that I've never snapped before, and I was like, okay. I think I sat down the next day and I told you I was finding a therapist.
Well, taking that step is difficult. I have been hearing that I need to get help for years now. I have not taken the step of actually listening. 2014, I lost my father to suicide, and I've been hearing, you got to talk about it. And the only person I've ever really spoken about it with is Mercedes. So you hear that all the time, but like you just kind of bury that, and I'm working, I'm busy, I don't want to deal with it, I don't want to have time. So taking that step, I commend you for it, because that's important. And you told me recently that you've considered starting some sort of platform for women that have been in this position and that have gone through this, for couples that are struggling with this.
I'd like to. I just don't even know how to start, because I mean, it's very important to talk about, and like I said, doctors really don't talk about it at all. I mean, they talk about it, but they don't prepare you enough for what could happen. And I think with postpartum especially, most people think it just happens after you have a baby, after you carry a baby to term and then you have it. But that is not the case, because your hormones are nuts no matter what part of pregnancy you're in. And looking back, don't really know if I had it after Paige, maybe a little bit, but definitely not to the extent I had it after I did. but not as bad. Because I mean, well, after the miscarriages and everything, it's also coupled with grief at that point. So it was just like way on steroids. It was just really bad. And I kept just burying and moving past and being on autopilot, being like, I'll be fine, I'll be fine, I'll be fine. And I just let it all pile up until it just exploded. But I think if doctors talked to women about it a little bit more, being like, hey, I know it can be depressing in the beginning of a pregnancy to be like, hey, it could also end this way, and you might go through this, but I almost feel like it's better to have the tools and to kind of know what to look out for, because for me, I kind of was just like, all right, we lost it. We'll grieve for a couple days. I'm not going to unpack and live her, and we're going to move on. But it follows you. I mean, as much as I think it didn't, it was definitely there, and I was a nightmare. And I knew I was a nightmare, and it felt like an out-of-body experience. I can like see myself being irrational and crazy and ragey, and I just didn't care, because I was like, we're just going to go to work and we'll try again tomorrow. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I was trying to cut Paige's toenails one night, and she hates it, and I know she hates it, and it's a temper tantrum every time she tries to get them cut, and it's not unexpected. But for some reason that day, I lost my mind, and I took the nail clippers and I flung them across the room, and I actually took a chip out of the wall with the nail clippers because I threw them so hard, and like that, and I like stopped for a minute, and she looked at me like,
what is wrong?
Oh my God.
And
I saw her face, and then I was like, what did I just do? Like, what kind of reaction is that to cutting a baby's nails? And the next day I started looking at therapists, and I told them I was going to start talking to somebody.
Prior to Arianna making that decision, you know, on your end, from your perspective, how did all this feel?
It was tough.
Yeah.
So I think what pissed me off the most is the only way I can express that is because of what I've been through. So I was giving an opinion based off of fact.
Yeah.
Knowing that on multiple times I tried to kill myself because of my trauma and drug addiction and the deepest, darkest hole that I fell into. I know what can happen.
Yeah. So
I think I was angry because I know what the end result is.
Yeah.
Like I know. Like I'm not like, oh, I read about this and I've seen this.
Lived it.
I lived it.
Yeah.
I lived it. And I wanted to, a lot of days I just wanted to strangle her and slap her across the face and be like, why the fuck won't you listen to me?
Yeah.
Like I'm not speaking out of my ass on this one. Like I'm coming from truth and my heart and my soul that like you need to do something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like anything else, she's stubborn. So am I. You know, it is what it is. But
I didn't want to hear that I wasn't okay, you know?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear it. I didn't want to hear it when I knew it, but I didn't want to hear it with myself
difficult
too.
to accept
So
it, yeah.
I had to take a step back and just kind of monitor from an outside to make sure it didn't get to a point that was
No
unrecoverable from.
Yeah.
But it was rough.
It was hard, yeah.
What?
Kind of took away from me being able to grieve any of it too,
Because you have to.
because I couldn't. I had to
worry about
parent
her. Yeah.
both of them, my daughter and her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it got to a point where I was like, almost felt disconnected from Paige too. Like I wasn't finding joy in what we did have because I was just so upset about what we didn't. So I think that for me too was a wake up call. I'm like, I have this perfect, healthy, beautiful kid right in front of me, and I'm like disconnected on my phone because I didn't even want to play with her. So I think like slowly starting to realize that, and then like that nail clipper thing happened, and I was just like, you're really not okay. Like he's right, you really do need help to get out of it. So I'm fortunate I found a really good therapist, and I've got really supportive gynecologists who were very much like, we'll give you tools, whatever you need. So it's been rough, but I am happy to say that I do feel a lot back to myself now. So
Well, I think that, like I told you, I think you should absolutely start a platform. Like Jared, you're coming from experience, right? You're talking that I've lived this, and there's something about that authenticity that I think that connects with people. This is not a theory of yours, this is my experience. And what I've found is that when you talk about your experience, there's somebody out there that it'll resonate with. There's somebody out there that it'll impact their life. And I think you just start by just starting.
That's what he says too.
just
Same thing. I
us,
literally did it. It's one of those things that even if it's if you save one, you save 1,000.
Yeah.
Because who else is that one saved, then that one extra one, then the one after that, and then the one after that, and it's.
And I did post something about it, and I had a friend reach out and said that it was really helpful that she read that, and like it felt good that I was able to help somebody kind of not feel alone, because it's isolating. As supportive as he was, as my parents were, my sister, it's still a really isolating experience to go through, especially when you want something so desperately. And I think I was just so mad at myself, because this is what my body's supposed to do. I'm a woman. I'm supposed to be able to have a baby, and my body just
that's not the first time that I've heard a woman describe it as hating their own body for my body did this to me, to the baby. It's really hard to hear that, and you and I have the huge blessing of, in my opinion, being men. we will never understand that feeling, right? We'll never understand what postpartum depression feels like. We'll never understand what it feels like to be pregnant. I think our role in that is a support role, right? That's all we can do. That's the max for us. There is to be supportive as as partners, as fathers.
It is. At the same time, though, I've had conversations with some other men with similar situations. So as much as they need the help too, so do the men. Yeah. Because the men kind of just get shoved off to the side.
Yeah. I understand that.
And there's a lot of men that desperately want the child just as much, if not more, than the mother does.
Yeah. And not only that, I think there's a lot of men that don't feel like there's an outlet for them to talk about, how they're feeling after that baby's born. I mean, when my son was born, your life changes, dude. When Paige was born,
100%.
your life just completely changes. And it's very challenging. You have this beautiful, healthy baby that demands all of your attention and all of your energy, and your wife is also now going through postpartum. And like when that was happening, somewhere in my brain, I did not understand, like, what are we sad about? Like we're sleep deprived and we're tired, and but what are we sad about? Because this is what we wanted. We have this precious child here. Like, life's amazing. We're tired, but this is great. So it's and then if, like us, we're engaged fathers and we're active fathers, it's not like we're kicking back on the couch and like doing nothing. Like we're involved. Yeah. So we have a lot of emotions that we go through as well. And I didn't really have anyone that I could turn to and talk about, like, hey, this is how I'm feeling with this step of fatherhood, right? Like I said, my dad's dead, so there was no one to talk to, and all my uncles are like, in the Dominican Republic, and they're like old school. You don't talk, dude. What are you talking about? We don't talk.
No, man, we're men. We don't talk about it. That's just it. And there's you suck it up and you move on.
Yeah, that's it. So
I still tell myself that plenty of days, that you just suck it up and move on.
Yeah.
But there's a time frame, and I've learned from all of my experience. So the military side of me is, in the instance, shut up, buck up,
let's go.
Let's fucking move. Like, we're gonna die. That kind of mentality. Like, there's no time to think. Just fucking take it, move on. We'll reflect later.
Yeah.
And that's just basically how it is. It's just, okay, suck it up, move on, get shit done. Now take a moment and try to process it. Work the emotions out so they don't just sit here and build up until they explode into a problem.
Yeah. What's next for you guys? What's next for your family? Where do you see yourselves
right now
going?
We're enjoying Paige at the moment. We're taking a break from
taking
everything.
a break.
enjoying the baby. We finally took our first family vacation a couple months ago.
We did. That was great.
It was great.
She loved it. I think that was the best part about it.
Where'd you guys go?
We took a Disney cruise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you guys like it?
Oh my
It was
god, with
phenomenal.
everybody.
Really?
Yeah, it was amazing.
Are Disney cruises better than like other cruises? 'Cause
I can't tell you yes or no because
only
we've
one.
only
Oh,
done
really?
one cruise ever.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've only ever
we've
done
only
one
ever
cruise.
done one.
This was the first cruise that
Yeah.
both of us have ever done.
He was shocked I
with.
even wanted to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, she brought it up. I was just like,
I can't swim, so like me and boats.
she doesn't
are
like
like
boats.
a
She
no
doesn't
go.
like planes. She doesn't like any. She doesn't.
I have really bad anxiety on planes, like full blown
Really?
panic attacks.
I'm surprised I get the driver in the car.
Oh my god! I lose my vision. I lose feeling in my hands on planes. It's really bad. I have to take a lot of anxiety
Really?
medication to fly. Like
All
a
of the
lot
anxiety
it.
medication.
Like what I take to get
almost
on a plane
easier
would
if
knock
I-
out a horse.
I need to knock you out
Wow.
like a horse
It's
because
bad. And
it
I
makes
feel
it easier for
nothing.
me.
Why?
It
would-
works for like 10 minutes, and then I am like completely
Oh my
fine. He
God,
like
drive me nuts.
Don't ask.
It's bad,
Don't
really
ask.
bad. Anyway, so I was like, we have to do something. Like, we just haven't had any joy, really, for the last couple of years, aside from Paige just, like, existing and being perfect. But I was like, I just want to take a vacation. We never got to take our honeymoon because the pandemic. We had to
COVID.
cancel our
Pandemic,
honeymoon,
yeah.
so we never went. So we've never really been on a true vacation. So
Wow.
we booked the cruise. We went, and we disconnected for a week.
That's
and it
awesome.
was-
Oh, it was a week long.
it was
Okay, that's
wonderful.
awesome. Yeah,
Oh, it was a
only,
week.
We've only ever been on one cruise, and it was supposed to be like leave Thursday out of Port Canaveral, be back Sunday. But hurricane came right through.
Nice.
So it ended up being leave Friday night,
Yeah.
sail halfway to the Bahamas. So like Saturday you spend the day on one of those little islands. Saturday night it turns back, and then you wake up Sunday and you're back home. So that sucked.
sucks.
Yeah, it was rough.
Did
It
they
was not-
refund you at all a little bit?
They
No?
did refund a
Okay, so
little
that's-
bit, but the other part of it was, I feel like I got completely swindled, dude. Because when I booked the ticket, like I booked our room, Mercedes, my room with the kids, as like it had like a balcony, the view was beautiful. I was
veranda.
like, oh man,
Yeah.
nice, this is nice. And then so I booked for my mother-in-law and my mom to come with us, and I felt bad when I did the booking because their room was like one of those little circle windows.
Yeah.
and
The
it
state
was like-
room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was just
Yeah.
like,
A
oh
little
man, I feel
porthole
bad,
and-
but this is what it is. When we got to the boat, opened the door to their room, massive, dude, huge. Opened the door to our room, literally like a hallway this narrow. You couldn't even fit the stroller in.
They're a little tiny.
And I was
but-
just like, are you kidding me? Dude? Like, this room was twice as expensive.
Yeah.
Because you
So-
got the balcony.
Yeah, because you get to see outside.
Well, that did not help at
That's
all.
what you get for seeing
We
outside.
did the veranda room too, and I think if we go on another cruise, I probably won't be able to do one without that because I was like so nervous about feeling claustrophobic that I was like, you know what, it's really not that much more for the room with the
Yeah,
balcony. I was like,
God.
let's just get it, let's just do it. Like
I liked it. I like
never
chilling
took
as
a
we're
honeymoon.
cruising in the middle of the ocean, just sitting on the
So
balcony
we,
deck. Like,
we splurged on it for sure, but now I'm like, well, now we're always gonna have to splurge because I
Yeah,
can't.
it's-
You know,
that's what it
be in
is
a room
now.
With no view, but it was so much fun. She was so in awe every day of everything, and like just watching her.
That was
learn.
amazing.
It was
That's so
great.
it was amazing watching her. Like it was just.
That's
She was
awesome.
good. She listened. Like I was really.
Really?
She's a runner, so I was like real
Yeah.
worried about losing her.
So we're gonna have to get those
Run
leash
right
Like
off
the
the boat.
leash thing, like the backpack, and pull her back. But she's, we told her, we're like, okay, as soon as we leave the room, like the rule is you have to hold somebody's hand, and like she got to the point where she would wait, and she'd like put up her little hand to hold our hand to go
That's
on.
awesome.
She was great. She listened. Like we had minimal meltdowns. I mean,
A couple, but
the kid
That's-
survived on bread rolls the whole time because she doesn't eat. But other than that, it
Yeah.
was
That makes me feel so much better.
glorious
My-
dinners, glorious dinners.
Makes
Bread.
me feel
Bread,
so
just
much
bread.
better. It's my son literally surviving on like air and like
hope and a prayer.
Yeah.
pretty much. I mean, he's a walking carbohydrate because all he eats is like croissants and
I wish we could get her
fruit
to eat that.
snacks and like fruit snacks is I tell myself like, well, they're fruits because you put like a banana in front of him, he's like, nope. You put any sort of protein in front of him, nope. So his protein is like Nestle chocolate
Yeah, but
milk,
it's
you know,
you learn that did something get inside of them?
they'll make
Great.
it.
Yeah, I've
They'll
just
make it.
recently learned that because I was.
I learned that a long time ago.
Yeah.
I was
I think
very much,
I
like,
learned it before
following her.
Mercedes.
I was following her.
Give her
around the
food. I was
house
like,
with
she ate something,
food.
right? Well, Kinda, yeah. Good enough. Let's
Now,
roll.
like, yesterday she wanted potato chips for breakfast, and I'm like, whatever. It's calories. Just
Yeah.
do the chips. I don't even care.
I,
They're
like
kids.
Mercedes gets so stressed, and like
They
I
don't
could see
need
it in
as
her
many
eyes when she's like,
calories as we do to
"They haven't
function.
eaten," and I'm just like, "Well, he had like yogurt, so."
They don't need as many calories as we
Yeah,
do to
jeez.
function. It's just it's science. They don't need it.
Her
So
menu is
just
slowly
have them
dwindling.
have something and just move on with
going.
life.
She was having bow tie pasta with butter every night for dinner for months. That's all she would
That's- yeah.
eat. 2 days ago, I don't like them. And I was like,
Wow.
well, now what are we eating? So
Yeah.
she's been like licking the peanut butter off of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and calling it dinner.
Healthy
and,
fats.
Healthy fats,
There you
protein.
go.
We're good to go.
Fancy.
and she still likes those. It's a turkey quinoa like pouch, the ones that you give like
Okay.
7-8 month olds. She still likes them, so I'm like,
That's
it's the
a
only
win.
protein
Yeah,
you're
she
getting.
sucks
so
those down.
That's a
sucks
win.
those
We're
down.
good.
That's a win.
But yeah,
70
she
calories each.
eats nothing. The whole cruise.
You're
she
good
had-
enough. It's got some 8 grams of protein per pouch. Go.
Yeah, the whole cruise. She
Chug
had
it, kid.
She had some bread rolls. There were Mickey waffles, Mickey churros, and I'm like, look, it looks like Mickey Mouse. And she's like,
I stuffed
"Nah,
myself.
nothing."
You
Yeah,
gotta
I
get
had, I had a blast. That was great.
She ate nothing,
That's
but
fun.
Bowl of grapes. We had
Oh,
to get.
yeah,
we
she
had to
liked
get. We had to
grapes.
specifically get and ask for a bowl of grapes because that's
Yeah.
all she wanted.
Actually,
but every time I went up to the counter,
That was
their
it.
fruit cups had like 1 or 2 little. So it was one grape cut in half.
yeah.
This is such a shared
So I
experience.
literally
I'm
was
like-
like, can I have a bowl of only grapes? And they're like, I have to go upstairs to get it. I was
Yeah.
like, fine. They
This
had to go
is-
all the way upstairs to get me a bowl
Such a
of
shared
grapes.
experience because on our cruise, I had to get Cruz a bowl of cherries, just cherries.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Oh man, I feel so much better.
And I found out the last night of the cruise, I think that they deliver Uncrustables to the room. It's not on
Yep.
the menu. You have to specially request it, but they will deliver.
Well, no, it says
Uncrustables.
peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but it's an
It's
It's
not
an
Uncrustable.
Uncrustable, but I didn't see it on the
Stuffing the
list.
purse.
So.
Yep.
Taking it to get home.
I was like, oh, she could have had this the whole
Yeah,
time.
we would have been
We
settled.
would have been
but,
sad, but no,
whatever.
she was just eating like crackers, bread rolls, and turkey pouches the whole time. I had an entire suitcase of turkey pouches.
We're parents. We do not judge. It's cool.
Turkey pouches.
Turkey pouches, that was it.
Guys, thank you guys both so much for taking the time and for being willing to share probably some difficult things to share. Rooting for both of you. Definitely would love to see you start sharing some of what you're going through.
Yeah.
I
Listen
will
to
work
Jared
on
every
it.
once in a
I
while.
know,
Listen
I
to
will.
Jared.
No, listen to him.
Hey,
I'm I'm the husband. She ain't gonna listen to me. Listen to Hector. He was an old friend.
He is.
That's right. 20,
Yeah, he
25
knows a thing or
years
two.
and counting.
Years.
He's a
We are
doctor.
close to 50.
I
We're gonna
know.
end with that very
I mean,
tragic
if
note.
you didn't have bad teeth, I never would have reconnected with Hector.
Look
Well,
at
so
that.
you're welcome.
Look
I
at that.
know.
You're welcome.
I take full credit for this relationship. Is what we're
You
gonna.
should. You know what? Because he was talking about getting them fixed, and I was like, I get so sketched out with dentists. No offense, but like, there are some of them really rip you off, and like, I just don't trust them.
Remember you
So
told me that.
then I was like, I could have sworn Hector said he was a doctor. I'm like, I know I saw somewhere online that he was going to be a doctor, and I looked, and I was like, yes, I know him. I know where he went to school. I trust him.
Well,
It worked out.
It did work out. We
You
still
did
have
a
to
good
go
enough
to
job.
dinner.
You did a good enough.
Well, I
job.
want now you can use those for us to go to dinner,
Yes,
which
we
we've been
did
talking
so
about
for
for
2 years.
2 years
3
now.
years.
So
we'll keep talking about it for a couple years.
you guys have a built-in babysitter, and so do I.
Yeah.
Let's make it
We can
happen.
meet halfway.
We can. I don't even mind coming out here. It's not that far.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us on. We appreciate it.
Yes, this is fun.
Thank you guys. No, seriously, but you seriously.